Alright, hey guys, welcome to another episode of Think Out Cloud by IPC. This episode is entitled Cybersecurity Countering DDoS Attacks. I'm your host, Nino Valmonte, and today we'll be talking about distributed denial of service, which is otherwise known as the world's most costly cybercrime. We'll find out more about that from our guest today. I'd like to introduce Mr. Jam Macalino, Director for South Asia at Nexus Guard. Hello, Jam.
Hello, Nino. Thank you so much for inviting me, IPC. Thank you so much. Hello, our guest. It is a pleasure also for giving this little bit of discussion with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also joined here by my enigmatic co-host Ace YouTube. Ace.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me again.
All right. Okay, so thanks guys for joining us. It's going to be a very interesting session today. We have a few questions for Jam, and we like to invite you also to ask your questions. I believe there's a button on the right of your screen that allows you to do so. Just click on that, ask a question anytime, and we'll answer them live while we're on the air. All right. So okay, just to start our session, Jam, I guess. Nexus Guard has been a partner of IPC for the past 3-4 years already, you know? And together we've been helping businesses, I guess, survive the onslaught of DDoS attacks. It's been growing rampant as the years go on. But for the benefit of the viewers who are not aware yet, could you give us an idea of who Nexus Guard is and what does it do? What is its main line of business?
Okay, so 3 to 4 years, it's been a long time. Nexus Guard protects clients against multitude of threats to ensure uninterruptible internet service. Right. We've been in the business for several years already. Our headquarters is based in the US, the Bay Area, San Francisco, but our Hong Kong office is actually serving the Asia Pacific market. Our main core protection is actually focusing on DDoS, but right now Nexus Guard has been increasing our number of products, including WAF, including caching, and several other protection services.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, IPC actually has been stressing over the years that DDoS, albeit unpopular, still somehow in the Philippines, is a rampant global problem that needs to be put under spotlight and addressed. Again, for the benefit of our viewers, could you give us a brief layman's description of what DDoS is? And can you give the viewers an idea why this is considered the world's costliest cybercrime?
Okay, so imagine a internet highway that you use to provide your service from your end going to your customers, right? And this highway is specifically maintained for your customers. However, there's someone who's trying to get inside or congest this highway. This method of congestion is actually DDoS.
Every day.
Yes, it's every day. So you're supposed to go to the office, but a lot of unsituated cars or unsituated traffic are actually going inside the traffic, and this is actually DDoS.
Oh, okay, it's like a highway congestion. Right?
Yes.
Congestion.
So imagine an e-commerce website or an online banking who serves their customer using this website, and imagine this downtime. This impact is actually not only on the revenue side, but across the loyalty, brand loyalty, branding of the business.
Yeah. I mean, I would think that businesses that rely on their website to generate revenue or branding or some sort of equity are in danger of such attacks, right? I mean, as far as I know, there's a lot of attacks being done on the gaming sector. But I mean, apart from that, what other sectors are there?
Okay, so going on the different sectors, technically, as long as you have a website that you wanted to use to bring over your service across the market, that is a typical what they call this suit for a DDoS attack, right? But unrecorded scenario, most of the attacks are actually going through several sectors: government, FSI, e-commerce, and of course what you mentioned, gaming.
I guess given the type of impact that an attack could, could do to a business, I mean, I guess could you help us quantify this for the audience? I mean, what's a good way to show our viewers how bad it can really get?
The actual P&L is very, very difficult to create, right? But the global recorded cost for cyber attack is about $400 to $500 billion a year.
On global attacks?
Yes. And
Wow.
50% of it is actually the recorded or identified attack is actually coming from a DDoS attack.
Oh, okay. So if that's 400 to 500
Billion
billion dollars,
dollars.
then it's about 200 to 250.
Yes, and
on DDoS alone.
it doesn't relate only with revenue.
So okay, so you're saying that DDoS is it's just one type of cyber attack or cyber crime, but it's generally it accounts for 50% of all types of attacks.
Yes.
In the world. Oh,
And generally, it doesn't only affect your revenue. It affects your brand loyalty. Right. It affects your the amount of time to generate back your business again.
Mm.
That's the third impact, and also reputation and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess there are many ways to skin a cat, no? So I mean, given that impact, what strategies should companies take to protect themselves? I mean, I'm sure there's more than one way to protect yourselves from the DDoS attack. What's the best way?
Well, personally, first of all, you need to understand your risk appetite versus your business direction, right? Spend more time to build your own security framework, and then ask or seek experts for deepening your understanding of the fundamentals to further drill your organizational requirements. Although there are several types of solutions across in the market. They have appliances, we have cloud services, we have ISPs protecting from the cyber attacks. So if we go towards an appliance solution toward normally caters a very good way of monitoring or detecting a threat, but it is not designed to handle multitudes of attacks or millions of packets sent millions of times. So that is the difficulty of an appliance. Of course, I don't, not to mention the amount of capex that you need to bring up, the amount of resources that you need to invest for the enablement of that appliance, and inventory and refresh, right? So nowadays, especially in the first world and in developing countries, one of the rampant or probably a significant growth in terms of solution is actually on the cloud. Because cloud is very flexible, it's cost efficient, and it's something that can handle multitudes of attacks. And multitudes of loads.
So you mentioned that it's cloud based, which means that it's highly scalable, and it doesn't matter what the size of the attack is, you would be able to mitigate it.
Yes.
Right. As opposed to an appliance that would have its own limits.
Yeah.
Right.
You're limited on the bandwidth actually connected to that appliance.
Yes.
And speaking of cloud service, this means that NexusGuard is present in more than one location. Could you identify which countries, and more importantly, why the Philippines, and what led NexusGuard to really invest in the Philippines actually?
Okay, not because I'm a Filipino. That's why we invested in Philippines.
Good point.
But globally, we have several locations. We have two categorization of our presence. One is our scrubbing center that we use to mitigate the attacks, to clean the traffic. That's one. Second is the market units that we serve. Meaning where are the sales locations that we actually have. So Nexus Guards have divided ourselves into two regions. So we have the East and we have the West. So West is being catered by the US San Francisco market, but we have several market units across there to serve Latin America, EMEA, London, and Ashburn. On the other side of the planet, we have Hong Kong to serve Asia Pacific. We have Southeast Asia presence from Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, of course, and Australia, and Thailand. So those are the market units that we have.
So it's a global reach.
It's a global reach. Our scrubbing centers are actually strategically placed across the globe. We have currently have 10 now, and these 10 locations are actually located in East and in West.
Right. So if, for example, the attack is coming from Bulgaria, for example, the nearest scrubbing center will actually.
Sir, from the West side.
Oh, okay.
So attacks are mitigated. You're saying that attacks are mitigated at the nearest, at the scrubbing center nearest to the source. Is that right?
Yes, source and the destination, of course.
Okay, all right.
Okay. So talking about geography, which countries are the usual sources of attacks?
The usual suspects.
Which ones are the common attack destinations?
Okay, so in terms of sources, we have a record of China, US, and Russia as the sources of attacks.
Sources of attack.
Yes, these are reflection attacks. And
And who are they attacking? I mean, what are they attacking in country or offshore?
well, it's actually mixed. Mostly
mixed,
are
okay.
actually coming from, if you look at China, most of their attacks are actually going outside.
Oh, okay.
For US, it's
Are they attacking the West Philippine Sea?
it's very difficult to answer, right?
But some government website.
There are some political tensions or some social tensions that happened in the past that actually triggered a lot of attacks going to our government.
Interesting. So, I mean, if those are the sources of attacks, I mean, you would, off the top of your head, which countries are most prone to attacks?
Drilling over Southeast Asia. So Southeast Asia, most of the attack destinations are Singapore, Philippines. You will be surprised. Indonesia,
Wow.
and Australia.
Oh,
And then
okay.
Malaysia is also coming up because of their political
Tensions.
ambience.
So that just proves that there is a looming threat to Philippine business as we speak, right? But that's okay. I guess just because of that, I mean, we need to know like how bad can those attacks get? I mean, what's the size? What's the frequency? How long does it last? Things like that.
Well, the recorded one, normally the big ones, the largest one. Well,
How big is big?
how big? 200 gig. 200
gigs
gig.
of traffic entering your network.
Yes.
Even the ISP will get this.
Yeah, I mean that will affect not only your business but even the ISP.
And then the largest mitigated request that we did is about 1.2 million, if I remember it correctly.
Simultaneous
Request. Simultaneous request.
Imagine that kind of traffic entering your network, in which you have a 10 meg pipe.
You will certainly get a message. Website is unavailable.
Error 404. Yeah.
Actually, the DDoS is normally used not only to congest the network or bring down your website. It's also being used as a smoke screen to do web or data theft and sort of things like.
And I think you mentioned that the scrubbing centers are global in reach. You made mention also that we have a facility here.
Yes. Since Philippines, in terms of our market analysis, Philippines is actually one of very important markets for Nexus Card. Why? Because the GDP in Philippines is really fast growing, and a lot of mid-market or SME companies are growing. I think the forecast across the nation is to grow about 20-25% by 2020 for SME businesses. And this is the reason why Nexus Guard invested for a facility together with you guys, with IPC, to offer a solution that is tailored in terms of the risk appetite of the market and also their buying capacity.
Yeah, that's right. I guess just for the benefit of the viewers, I mean, what industries are commonly attacked? I mean, who should we warn? I mean, to watch out for these attacks?
Okay.
Especially since our viewers are very eager to know how they can be protected specifically in their industry.
Well, knock on wood. Knock on wood that these industries won't be attacked. But normally, that's the focus industries that we have, especially for Philippines, are e-commerce, FSIs, government, um, and telcos.
And telcos as well.
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting to know. 'Cause I would understand the government sector. It's more acts of
Social,
protest,
political,
yeah,
yes.
acts of protest and things like that. On the financial sector, these are more like
Data theft.
yes, data theft or even
Gaining undue advantage.
yeah, yeah, trying to get swindle money from
Right.
the banks and e-commerce sites as well,
Or
right?
even the competitors of these companies in some of the banks.
But normally, for competition perspective, it goes more on the e-commerce side and on the entertainment side.
Right.
FSIs are actually more towards a smokescreen attack for data theft.
Oh.
That is normally used.
So it's the attack is fronted by a DDoS attack, and then once the website becomes unavailable, that then they can enter.
Yes, and the large banks are actually prone because of their reputation. They're being blackmailed.
Right.
Also, so okay, the DDoS attacks have now become a tool to, they're being used as a decoy to take
To do it.
attention away
Yes.
from the securities.
Because it takes a lot of time to
Ah,
bring back the network coming from a DDoS, right?
It's interesting. So, I mean, so when a company experiences a DDoS attack, it doesn't mean that it ends there.
Yes.
There could be someone hacking into a database and trying to gain access
At
to
the same time that the attack is happening.
Yes.
while the attack is happening. So yes, please watch out.
And by the way, we'd like to remind our viewers, please don't forget to post in your questions because
Yeah.
later our guests will actually answer the questions.
Yeah, sure. Yes,
I would love to. I would
yeah,
love
there's
to.
there's a little button on the right side, which if I'm not mistaken, that you could click and just ask a question from there. All right.
Well, going back to the attacks, why are they being done in the first place? Actually, so are there motives and what strategies do they do?
Well, aside
when they
from
attack?
I think aside from the things that we mentioned earlier, financial benefits, blackmailing, expressing anger, protest, political tensions, social situations, those are the things that they use. Sometimes bragging rights.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I took down the website of whoever,
Right.
right? So
Or
that's
or some guy off to college and
Yeah.
just
yeah. I would imagine a student doing this, right?
The youngest one recorded is actually 14-year-old
Whoa.
to bring down an enterprise.
Don't get any ideas, please.
And,
Okay.
and the sad part is that attacks seem to be evolving as well, right? And can you tell us how our customers, our partners, our viewers can be assured of their protection? If it's enough, or does the service evolve as well since it's a cloud-based
Yes,
technology?
in terms of capacity, of course, we try to understand what is, or we try to forecast how big are the attacks, or how big are the attacks that we've managed. So in terms of capacity, we're slowly growing our footprints in terms of scrubbing centers, and we want to make sure that these serve the important markets that we're into. Look at Philippines. So we have a scrubbing center here in Philippines located with IPC. That's one. Second is one of the key benefits of a cloud-based solution is actually a central management, because threat detection is shares among the global clients, right? So it's being now shared with the SOC and with other clients to make sure that we try to understand and we can mitigate and try to learn with these commonly attacks. And this serves us to further eradicate zero-day attacks.
Basically, I would imagine that large enterprises would be using this type of service, but since 70% of local businesses here in the Philippines are SMEs, I mean, can you tell our viewers how small businesses and startups can also avail of such robust protection?
Okay, So first of all, we try to understand the market that we're going into. In Philippines, a lot of our focus is actually on the mid-market side, on the SME to
Mm.
mid-market side. And we try our best to look forward on ways on how to bring over a business model
Mm.
to serve these price points. And,
Okay.
and this comes into a conclusion of partnering with a large ISP provider like IPC to provide a local mitigation center. And right now, because we're trying to put a model that serves these enterprises, and we understand that these small businesses are actually dependent on their websites for revenue generation. So in terms of trade-offs, the local partner is actually managing the local traffic that we have
Mm.
and then leverages on Nexus Guard's international bandwidth.
Yeah.
This makes us a flexibility to provide a low hefty or a very low price point to
Mm.
serve over to the customers that we have.
Right. So it's local support, local mitigation, but global in feature sense.
Yes.
Yes, so that's a package that's specially designed for the smaller businesses, and which is perfect because I mean the especially nowadays where the startup scene has been quite right. I mean, there've been more startups this year than in the past, like I don't know, 5 years, right? So it's quite important for us to support that I guess the ecosystem.
Right.
And yes, I mean you heard it right. Even startups and SMEs will be able to avail and subscribe to DDoS mitigation services with IPC. So for inquiries, do email sales team at ipc.ph. That's sales team at ipc.ph. Find out more about IPC DDoS mitigation services. So yeah, at this point, I would like to answer some questions that came in from the viewers. Are there any questions? Can we take a look at those?
Okay, I think we have one question here. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. It says, in the Philippines, what industries or businesses are most targeted of DDoS attacks? There's a follow-up there. What are the motives of the cyber criminals?
I think it was kind of answered it
Yeah.
previously, yes, but I guess if you'd like to reiterate,
Well, to reiterate all the industries that we have e-commerce, government, financial services, and entertainment.
Right.
So those are the sectors that are really looking into these kinds of
I
attacks.
think we need to also stress that since we have local scrubbing facility, with our financial services sector can also take advantage of the fact that they require some institutions require scrubbing to be locally scrubbed as well.
Yes, yes. That is one of the reasons why we partner with IPC on a local scrubbing center. Why? Because we want to serve FSIs and governments.
yeah, it takes care of the data sovereignty
Yes.
issues. Right?
It doesn't need to have the data to go out on the cloud outside of the country.
Yeah, so the local scrubbing with IPC ensures that all the data is still in country, and it's it complies with any regulatory requirements. All right.
Anything else?
Our question is how how does DDoS attacks how do DDoS attacks affect existing company hardware resources such as firewalls and routers?
It's a good question actually.
Yeah, yeah. Would you like to?
Yeah, because the thing is about DDoS attack is that uh, most often we get the question of what will happen to my existing infrastructure. The DDoS mitigation that we offer will actually complement the system in such a way that it will be the first line of defense. At the same time, it will protect those infrastructure that serve a different purpose. So, when you don't have a DDoS mitigation solution, you will actually decimate your routers because these routers are actually driven by processors are also inside. So when you get a flood of attacks, like millions of transactions, they will hang up or they will lose all of their configuration. And sometimes they get fried as well and they are rendered unusable already. So it's really imperative to have we call it a two-hit combination of DDoS attack plus your existing It's a good question, by the way.
I think that answers the next question as well. It says for organizations that already have an existing on-premise security solution, is the cloud-based DDoS mitigation platform open for integration? I think there's something wrong with the question. I mean, it's not so much about integration, but rather, yeah, I mean, the cloud service would augment
Right.
whatever security measures you've already put in place, right? Okay. All right.
Another one. Let's see. Oh, yeah. How can we get rid of DDoS in our local network? For example, how to stop low orbit ion cannon charge DDoS software from working in relay? Well,
Okay. It's a pretty technical question,
right.
but
But the thing about DDoS actually is that it comes from external. So if you get a low orbit ion cannon charge attack, is that the attack may be coming from inside your network. So you are looking more beyond a DDoS attack actually, because when you do the low ion cannon attack, there's actually a software inside one of your computers, and that what we need to do is actually part of the service of Nexus Guard is actually do a penetration testing or in short term pen test to make sure that we are certain that attack is not coming from outside. That's a very good question because we need to determine as part of Nexus Guard and IPC's partnership, the additional service is to determine what really type of attack is. Because as I mentioned by Jam a while ago, DDoS attacks come in different form, whether it's what's called sync flood or just the traditional brute force attacks and all of that. So it's a good question. We'll contact you, Sir Joaquin and Relay, and
Try to explain more, right?
yeah, try to explain
But the
more.
bottom line of our service is we want to make sure that there's a clean pipe going to your way,
Yes.
regardless of what type of attack coming over
Yeah.
to that highway.
And I think further to that question, if if one of your assets internally is generating malicious traffic, then it may have been compromised by malware, or it's turned into a zombie or a bot. So it's more, I guess, an issue of protecting your internal equipment from malware and things like that.
more of a holistic approach.
Yes,
when it
yes,
comes to-
and we can help you with that strategy as well. And definitely, I'd like to discuss more with you in person.
There's another live question. Oh, it's
Yeah.
interesting to answer.
Other protocols aside from HTTP and HTTPS, if you have a specific port on a web server.
The question there is yes. The service that we have together with IPC is highly customizable. So aside from the 2 ports that is already given part of the service, is we're providing additional ports that requires additional protection. So we have up to 10 type of ports that we can protect.
Good question,
Thank
Kenneth.
you. From Kenneth Mark Bukirin.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Okay. All right.
let's-
Other questions here.
From Anonymous.
If I subscribe to IPC's DDoS mitigation service, will I have an access to the monitoring portal?
Okay.
Will I have the capability to generate reports? Yes, definitely. You will have your own access to an online portal where you can generate reports as well. And it's an entire dashboard that will show you different bells and whistles, right? So to speak. And yeah, it comes with the service already. Okay.
How about this one? The question is, as one of the cloud services available at IPC, how flexible is the DDoS mitigation solution? Are there available base packages to choose from?
Okay. If I understand that correctly, are there flexible packages, or are there packages available? Yes, the service comes in different packages, and it's highly flexible. These packages are available to our customers to choose from, and we can also tailor
Correct.
special packages for specific clients that require a more, I guess, customized
Configuration.
configuration.
Something that you guys cannot find online because this solution is
Yeah.
actually very call it personal in a sense. 'Cause,
Yes.
uh,
So yeah, we do have the basic packages, but more often than not, clients would require something that's a little bit more or less than those packages, and we'll definitely be able to tailor something for you.
and
Yeah.
since you have local support, you can even talk to us in local dialect. If you're not comfortable,
As an added bonus.
as an added bonus, you know, we will assure you that your comfort level in terms of the technical and the support aspects all covered.
All right. Wait. Are there any more questions? Oh, okay. No more questions. We're good. Okay. If there are no more questions, then I'd like to ask you, Jam, if you have any parting words, any parting message for our viewers
No,
today.
actually, I would like to thank you guys, IPC, Nino, Ace, and everyone for sharing this morning with me. And looking forward to a lot of this series
Oh
with
yeah,
IPC.
definitely we can have you back soon enough to talk about many other security services that we would like to position to our markets as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jam. We appreciate you coming over and spending your morning with us. And on behalf of Team IPC, thank you everybody for tuning in. And see you during the next episode of Think Out Cloud in the next 2 weeks. Check out thinkoutcloud.ph for more details. Cheers. Bye.